Horizontal Somsuji Reaction. This is Communism versus Fascism, featuring the Actman and Brandon Herrera. Why isn't there Federation here? I hope he's here. Like sometimes they don't put it in the title. It would be so good if Federation was here, right? Nick is his name. Imagine him like as soon as he says like, okay, let's talk about communism, fascism, and he just like goes off in the background. There you go, like 30 minutes, like. Yeah, I guess he can just go on about communism all day long. Yeah, this is going to be interesting. It's from the Unsubscribed Clips channel, obviously, Unsubscribed Podcast. Yeah, it's always interesting. Like, they bring on the different type of people, and that's what podcast is for. And, like, yeah, Brandon Federation, like, other people there, like military people, actual people serve there. So it's, like, really interesting to take, have their take on it. So, yeah, that's what it is.
Speaking of communism, though, I've actually been reading into it, and
Nick loves communism.
It sounds really good.
On paper, it's great, isn't it?
Yeah, on paper it is. And
oh wait, you brought us something?
I brought something, made some scripture to share with the people.
Oh wow!
Oh, it's going in the background. What are you chucking, Jake?
We're just throwing things. Don't worry about it.
See, I think
this incident, episode 2.
I think people, when they think of communism, they think of all the times it's failed, but it's never actually been implemented properly.
It's never been implemented the way you would do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, thank God Nick isn't here. Fuck, dude.
We should all sign it. What's up?
Dude, Nick, have you watched how
This is a bit,
This is
I
how you
believe.
set up. This is how you set
Simmer.
up. Okay, we're gonna definitely put this in the background.
I actually
Actually, put it next to the
Nick,
retard one.
Yeah, Nick would be suplexing you into the fucking corner. If
Well,
you showed this
can I just share some lines of scripture?
Oh,
absolutely
please.
go for it.
I know he's saying that jokingly, or at least I hope he is. I don't know what Actman his channel does, but I'm guessing he's saying that jokingly. Because somehow, I don't know why, this even ticked me off, right? Yeah, Federation would blow a gasket, but yeah, scripture, I mean, come on. Yeah, communism is fucking awesome when you think about it, like, oh, how to implement this. But there's only one element communism always doesn't, like, take into the equation. That's called human fucking nature. So yeah, communism will never work. Okay, first of all, communism versus fascism. Communism is kind of like socialism, right? And socialism is like opposite of fascism. So in that way, communism is opposite of fascism. That's why Hitler went out of communist, right? So socialism, communism basically has more aggressive factor compared to socialism. Communism try to get rid of anything that is like threatens equality, like people, like smart people, even because they are smarter than the other, or they're better than them, private properties and shit like that would threaten the equality, potential equality. That's what communism does, right? Which is fucked up. Socialism is like try to achieve equality by spreading the wealth from people. So basically, like somebody like Elon Musk, oh, he's a genius, he made all this money, PayPal, and like now Tesla, oh, $200 billion. Socialism would basically take most of his wealth and spread out with people, that type of shit, right? So fascism is opposite of that. So I don't know, communism is like when implemented, it would be like, if implemented right, it would be so good. But how the fuck you gonna implement it right? Every single time, like human element ruins it every single time, right? So I don't know. So fascism is fascism. Everybody knows what fascism is. Like, it should be obvious by now. But yeah.
God, thank God Nick isn't here. Fuck.
And Jesus,
Don't feed the Ukrainians. I'm sorry, was that not in the original book, or like?
I picture Nick like right now looking around like a disturbance in the force.
And then Jesus said, nobody should be allowed.
Imagine Nick he's just sitting there doing his like editing some video. He's doing something of what the fuck was that? And just suddenly some kind of like rage emerges from inside. It's like, why am I getting angry right now? What is this? Why am I suddenly having this kind of rage?
The fruits of their own labor, we should all be equally as miserable. The end.
It's a pretty good summary. What's funny is I actually own
Marx.
I own a hardback copy.
yeah, Marx.
I own a hardback copy of this, as well as like Das
Wait,
Kapital.
is that as big as it is?
He's a communist?
Yeah.
So that's the funny part. If you took a
They
picture,
can be anywhere. They can be anywhere. They're
all right,
right in front of
McCarthy.
us.
if you took a picture of my library, you'd be very confused because I do a decent bit of reading, I think. And I think most historic texts are important to at least read through. And so I have intentionally in my fucking wall, I have a copy of Das Kapital, the Communist Manifesto, and Mein Kampf all together on the same shelf just to confuse the shit out of
Okay, he's a gun owner, he's a conservative, and he has those books on the wall. Just showing that image to certain type of people, they would basically have a shock and die, right? All he's he's running for a seat, right? He already did that. I'm pretty sure he's gonna fall upon it. He's not gonna stop, I'm guessing. All these opposition needs to do is okay, these are the fact. There you go. It paints a really strong picture
of anybody who walks into my
Yeah, yeah.
library.
Wait, this is fucking only 40 pages?
That's all they
I
needed.
mean-
That's all the paper they had.
I mean, come on, man. They're getting rid of scientists and anybody who's genius. They're not going to use more than 40 papers, right? I don't think they can use more than 40 papers.
This is what started, and this is what people go off of?
There's no food in there, bud.
One page for every million people it killed.
There's actually a modern example that I think kids can relate to figure out how communism doesn't work. If you guys have ever played Valheim or Minecraft with your buddies,
Yes.
and you leave your chests unlocked, let's say you guys are building a world together in Minecraft, and you got your own house. Everybody has their own house. You guys are mining stuff. You're getting materials, all this stuff. You got your different chests with signs like this is where the wood is. This is where the diamonds are. You log off for a couple days, you log back in, and half your house is been destroyed and all your shit is gone, and you tell your buddies, yo dude, where's all the wood? Where are the diamonds? Oh, I used it to build my own. That's why communism doesn't work.
It went to the front line, comrade.
Yeah, exactly.
Look at New Wall, comrade.
I think that explains socialism more than communism, or maybe I'm getting that wrong. No, I don't think communism, like I said, is let's just say implementation of communism stays outside of the bubble that, let's just say, people live in. Anything that threatens the equality, it will go after. That's what communism does, and potentially hope for equality. But socialism just point blank takes your shit and spread around, right? Socialism has a less threatening thing to it, I'm guessing. Okay, by the way, this is what we're doing. Okay, 70% tax to the ultra rich, 90% tax to ultra rich, multi-billionaires or something. That's what socialism does, which I don't agree with. Look, I think there should be a safety net. If you live in a society and if there are rich people in that society, those rich people are becoming rich by using the resources of that country. At least there should be certain level of tax that provides safety net. That's it. Anything more than that is people's skill and what people make of it, right? American dream, whatever you can make of it, you have it. Socialism is okay, let's take 90% of the wealth from rich people and spread it around. That's not going to work, because there's not going to be any rich people from there. People are not going to innovate. People are not going to give a shit, right? Why would I care? Okay, I have basic home, I have a chair, I can eat food and I can live off, fuck everything else. I'm going to use my creativity doing art and not trying to make money. Not thinking about capitalism and how to be rich or something, because I'm not going to be rich. People are going to take my shit. And what's that going to do is there's not going to be innovations. There's not going to be anything else. So socialism sucks in that way. Communism is much more aggressive than that. You should hope for a safety net. People have basic health care where people can actually fucking survive, basic education if you want to add to it, something like that, right? Make sure housing is, some scheme makes sure housing is affordable so people actually have place to live. They still have to work for it, but it's some kind of government subsidies and things makes it cheaper or something. But that's it, right? Basic stuff. Anything more than that, you're going insane.
Yeah.
This is my house. Yeah, but mine's gone. Very nice structure to build base off of.
Yeah, but we built new building with your stuff.
We built a community building over here.
No, that's exactly like it's actually funny.
Yeah, I mean, it does apply to communism in a way that in communism, people generally own everything rather than having specific like ownership, right? Well, in socialism, that's not the case. I guess like taxable income, like spreading around wealth, but there is private ownership, I'm guessing. So yeah, this does apply to communism that way. It's very complicated when you think about it, right? All this shit, like what separates this thing, but it's like communism is really fucked up, right? People own everything. People, like everybody owns everything. Like that's just insane. What, there is no individual things? Like, how does that even work?
Funny because like whenever me and my buddies would play Valheim, like you'd get those people who would just kind of like around, but they would just take your shit and then like your that you worked for, you went out and you got that iron ore.
I know every single.
I like it still video game. You're still pissed because you're like, bro.
Every
Bro,
single.
I'm mine for this shit.
Every single April. I know. I get it.
Yeah. So in case any kids were wondering, communism doesn't work.
I like that. And then Karl Marx, you have to pay to see his grave, which is. You didn't know that?
Yeah, and let's just say even somebody implemented perfect communism. Again, that element plays in, like the socialism, communism, doesn't matter. That element plays in, like why would anybody do anything rather than just some basic shit? Farm, eat, and do basic stuff. You would say like, yeah, people like nice shit, so they would just work for it. You can't, okay, people cannot just say, I'm going to make smartphone today and make an iPhone. You can't make an iPhone like that. Right? Whoever innovated certain stuff, they didn't know they were innovating that particular thing. Like iPhone itself, yes, like Apple basically, oh, this is the iPhone. But things that went into it were developed like long time ago. And those development was kind of like an offshoot of something, this and that. People were striving for something. And then offshoot of that kind of work. That's how capitalism works. Apollo missions, like going to the moon, basically created like more than half of the world's economy. They weren't trying to do that. They were trying to go to the moon, right? So when people are, you can't just tell someone, okay, this is the problem, solve it. They're not going to have like a drive for it. They're not going to like, oh, I'm going to drop everything I'm doing and I'm going to solve this shit, right? Those, like, what is it called? Like grips in the like motorways, right? Like when you like change the motor, when there's like a turning, there are grips there on the road, right? That didn't exist before. People used to like crash and like drift out or something. Before somebody in NASA actually created those shit, because they needed to make sure that like when a space shuttle comes down, it doesn't spin around and it goes in the straight pattern. And people were like, wait a minute, we can use this in motorways. And like that was an offshoot. You can't tell somebody, okay, like stop people spinning around. People are like, okay, how am I going to solve that? When it comes to like NASA and things, oh, by the way, this is about moon, like all the geniuses gather around. You need drive like that. If you take drive from people and just like, oh, it's communism, nobody's better, nobody's less or nobody's better, everybody's equal. By the way, solve that problem. Nobody's going to do that. That's not how it works.
That is the thing. In order to
The
see his
satire writes itself.
Yeah.
in order to see his gravestone, you must pay money.
No way.
I'm
no
so
shot.
upset.
No,
Nick.
fucking Google it. That is an
I
actual.
believe you.
You're filling this seat, dude. You are our stand-in Nick right now. You're ranting against communism and you have no sleeves.
He gets up and he's like, "What? I don't even know about communism." Walks away. Nick's
No, but
infused with
I'm
it.
being serious. I actually love communism.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
On a real
Yeah.
note.
Or,
Super.
grab-
Put him down.
And grab two. I'll do it myself.
No. 3, bring it.
Nick, I can just
Thank
hear
you for the gift.
Yeah, you're welcome.
That's definitely going next to the other book.
Now,
retard book.
I did bring another book.
Dude,
and
put it next to teaching the mentally retarded and the Communist Manifesto.
We should
didn't
just
hear
put that
that?
in teaching the mentally
We
retarded.
just said that 5
I
minutes
know, that's what I was
ago.
like.
okay.
That's I was adding on to the joke.
okay.
Yeah.
I was like, put it next to the retard book. And then Cody's like, put it next to the retard book.
now I did bring another book.
Teaching the mentally retarded. We're just going to go ahead and just throw that in there.
Yeah.
And the first page you open, it's like,
Get a nice surprise when they open it.
The plot
book inside.
thickens.
So originally, I really was deeply invested in communism. I truly believed in it until I started reading this other book, and I started really diving into it. And well, it just it comes
Mein
from a very
Kampf.
trusted source. and he just was really starting to speak some truth to it, and I started to realize that communism probably doesn't work the way people think it does. Now, if you want, I did bring the book with me.
I know where this is going. Yep.
Have you guys read this?
Oh, oh my God, this is good.
Yep.
No.
Nope.
Even better.
Try again.
Oh, A.H. Author A.H.
Oh, yeah.
You knew what this was.
Oh,
right?
I knew it. One of the reasons I knew what it was.
Dude, I just like you were like, I'm coming on to Unsub. You know who would love some books?
Tell me, why doesn't it have cover? They don't have covers. It's like, what is this, Voldemort? Like, you can't say it.
See, we're trying to be.
I have quite the catalog to pick from.
We actually want to be fair and balanced, so we brought both. I no shit have a
He
picture
has some great
somewhere.
points, as you were saying.
Yeah, so he's got some great points.
That's my copy at my
Yeah,
house
you got-
next to a
okay.
bunch of the German stick grenades. I got the 1939 edition printed in English just because I thought it was wild that you couldn't buy it on Amazon, but you can buy the Communist Manifesto and Das Kapital.
Well, this was more expensive than the Communist Manifesto, so I guess communism does.
It has a
kind of
couple
work.
more pages.
Yeah, a couple more pages, but you know, when someone brings out a copy of Mein Kampf, your first question is probably, why do they own that? There's a lot of good reasons. If we turn to page 447.
Well, hold on. Was that a bookmark?
Seriously, this is so stupid, right? Like, you shouldn't prejudge people. The prejudice is like, okay, at the top of it, like when you have no information at all, like prejudices maybe might work. But like in the grander scheme, like trying to make a concise decision on anything, prejudices shouldn't be the case. But that doesn't work all the time. Like if you go to a jury and talk about like, by the way, you know, this perpetrator owns guns and was found like copy of Mein Kampf. Like that's basically the end. I don't care what, like the jury is going to be like a bias now. Like it doesn't matter like how much explanation the guy gives. Like, oh, by the way, I'm just the guy who likes to read a lot of stuff. Even the things that I hate, I like to read it because like I want to grow my knowledge. I read all type of stuff. You can say everything, but jury has made its mind now. Like that's the type of effect this shit has.
Have you actually read this book? It's dog shit.
Yeah. So it is so
Fucking
schizo.
sucks.
It's so
bad.
It's all over the.
But
They're just gonna cut segments out of this. Brandon's like, yeah, I own a copy. Oh, great reading.
No, yeah.
They just segment this, and you're like, well, here's our career.
No, yeah. Cut it up for the intro so it makes me look like a fucking unhinged Nazi, right?
And we all just agree.
Yeah.
You don't even need to do that, right? I just made a reaction about when Trump became president without even saying anything pro-Trump or something. I was just making a reaction. Oh, by the way, you're a Trump guy or Trumpard or whatever the word they use, and just like insane amount of like, not insane, I don't know how many were, like 80, 90 people unsubscribed. That was like a big number for me since I started this channel. I'm just reacting to the president of the United States that was like elected by a majority. Like, I don't get it, right? I didn't even say anything pro-Trump in that one, but I tried to stay in the middle because like I'm outside of America. I'm not going to say pro anything. I'm just watching and reacting based on that. But yeah, you don't even need to edit something. As soon as people saw this, like I'm pretty sure some people are going to just make their mind up, like comment down and walk away.
And Hitler said, here he is not frightened by anything at all, and his baseness becomes so gigantic that nobody need wonder that in our people, the personification of the devil as the symbol of all evil assumes the living appearance of the Jew.
That's the 2-second intro now.
You heard it here, folks.
That's the intro. People are gonna be like, well, I gotta watch this episode now.
Dude, I never
What
would
the
have.
Fuck.
I never would have assumed this would be the one. Like, yeah, let's get the video game guy on.
Yeah.
That's pretty
Pac-Man, he looks
easy,
good.
man. That's no. Fuck, dude.
Yo, but I was actually surprised.
Yeah, seriously. So he does video game things. Act Man. Have I heard of him? I don't know. Maybe I'll watch a video or two. But yeah, there you go. Act Man suddenly went all in, right? Let's talk about video game. Nah, son. No video game. Let's talk about the real stuff right now.
I know you guys like history on this channel, so I'll be real. Well, the interesting thing about this is that this is an annotated version of Mein Kampf. So basically, it has thousands of Twitter community notes on all those shit he said that's wrong and stupid.
Yeah.
So that's point number one. Like, if you try to read this
Oh,
without...
it actually does have like
Yeah.
annotation notes.
Yeah, exactly. And
Oh man, it has some roots in Nietzsche.
yeah, so they released this in 1939 before they invaded Poland.
Yep.
So it offers a pretty interesting perspective of like what the sentiment was right before World War II broke out. You know, because Hitler, I think he came out with it in what, 23? Mein Kampf?
I want to say it was a little later than that. Yeah.
33?
Yeah, it was
Somewhere in there. But you
that?
know,
They ally themselves with Marxist mortal enemies.
yeah. See, this is where I started to, I started to break away from the communist cult, and now I think I'm on something
It was
much better.
Wow, no, you were close. It was July of 1925. I didn't realize it was that early.
Yeah, no. So this didn't really come to the States. They couldn't read this in English until way later. And when it came out, I think the first copies, they didn't really censor much in Nazi Germany. They were pretty free speech advocates.
Yeah, it never burnt. They were big on books.
But the interesting
What
part
books did they burn, Eli?
The interesting part about this is that it actually highlights the sections of Mein Kampf that Hitler didn't want people outside of Germany to read. So you have what he's trying to hide, what his bullshit.
It's actually a deep dive of. So it's actually good reading. This one would be a very good reading.
There's no point to read
Yeah.
this book unless you read it with annotations and the backstory of he's fucking
And
an idiot.
it's nice that it's really not it's not a modern annotation. This is historical context before Germany is the enemy. This is what the sentiment was at the time. I completely agree. That's really, really interesting to see.
Yeah, it's a good excuse. I just hate the Jews. I mean, that's
Yeah, I saw the video about I'm pretty sure I haven't finished that still extra history one. But yeah, the whole thing that how the pseudoscience and everything was working, the feeling there, right? How the Aryan race and all that, this shit was brewing right before the Poland thing. I guess the other countries like Britain and intelligence of that should have seen that coming. Maybe it's power of hindsight, you think. But yeah, I think even Hitler was getting ideas, gaining power, releasing Mein Kampf and all that shit, right? I guess people were surely after World War One, after all this Weimar Republic, after them basically economy being in shit, surely nothing's gonna happen. Yeah, they didn't realize before World War One, Germany was a powerhouse, scientific hub of the planet. Germany single-handedly tried to threaten the whole Europe and the world, right? So them pushing back might not be that far off, right? Nowadays, if shit like that even happens today, people will be better safe than sorry. That wasn't the mentality back then. So people we'll just let them go. Before it became too much, right? Before the Poland thing happens, blitzkrieg, before people can process it, just amplified, right? So I don't know, but yeah, you can when you see it's holy shit, this has been brewing for years. The whole society in there, right? We're having this kind of a feeling towards other type of people, anybody besides Aryan race, especially Jews and things, right? So yeah, it's just insane. And after that, it just intensified a million folds with World War II and all the camps and things. Damn.
why I have it, but
Oh, we're gonna get along. Not
That's
because
gonna
of
be
that
lovely.
statement, but
No.
you're
I never thought I'd have an intellectual conversation about the fucking the I guess
Antithesis.
validity of reading Mein Kampf in 2024 on a podcast with a video game guy.
I actually want to share part of the review for it. So there's a brief
Poland
review.
gives this 1 star.
No, a review.
Basically, Actman realized he got he got demonetized in some of the videos. Fuck it, I'm gonna go into this podcast and I'm gonna make sure it gets demonetized on YouTube. That's why he's reading all these lines.
Mein Kampf by Dorothy Thompson. Shout out Dorothy Thompson because she fucking lets him have it, okay? I just want to read the first paragraph, okay? So this is her review of Mein Kampf. Americans can now read the text of the book that has shaken Western civilization. Keep in mind, 1939. The reader will find the English writing rhetorical, turbid, and digressive, and the text disorganized. Do not, however, criticize the translators. Hitler's first battle was with the German language, and this fight, at least, he has never won.
God damn.
Mic drop moment. There's more. Let it be said that if the world is overthrown by this document and the man behind it, it is overthrown without benefit of grammar or literary style.
Dorothy Spicy, dude.
Dorothy Spice. Shout out Dorothy Thompson.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, that's not really true in the sense of like people might think. Hitler didn't have best words. What you talking about? That's all he had, right? His charisma and the way he spoke literally gathered people and gathered his whole country behind him, and he became the leader. If he wasn't charismatic, he would be just some idiot screaming like nobody would give a shit about him, right? So he had the words. Every time you see his speeches and his charisma and everything, there's a reason why people basically duped a lot of people, most of his country, right? And did all the World War II shit. I get it, like anger, like the translator, like justifiably angrily would say all these things, but it's like kind of not true. But yeah, I guess like writing style, yeah, he probably sucked at writing or something. Who the fuck knows?
You still alive and
Dorothy
kicking.
fucked him up.
I know, right?
Dorothy was on the list.
Good thing she was over here.
Yeah, right?
No, she doesn't stop there.
Yeah, Man in the High Tower, or Man in the High Castle.
Hitler had to conquer Germany to compel even Nazis to read this book. God damn. Now, of course, it is the German Bible, running close to the annual circulation of the Holy Scriptures, but there are plenty of high-ranking officials of the German government who have never gotten past the first 2 chapters. I couldn't either, by the way. It is most definitely a book that one can lay down.
Dorothy's fucking savage.
Right? So, like, I mean, on the real, it's like...
She need to say in the end, man, fuck Hitler. She should have just said that. This is insane, man. I mean, it's kind of true, man. Only reason people are talking about this book in the first place is because of who wrote it, not how book actually is, right? I mean, come on, right? If Hitler wasn't Hitler, like nobody would like, well, this is gonna be some sort of stupid book that never get published or something.
It's really interesting to see what people actually thought of the book in 1939, like before they invaded Poland.
Holy shit.
Yeah, I know, right? She fucking dropped the mic. But there's also a funny, at the very end of her review, she says, this is all something tribalistic, pre-Renaissance, pre-Rome, pre-civilization, against the instinctualism of this book, against the fetish world. Mankind has striven upward, feeling his way step by step through ages. Occasionally he has relapsed when civilization became too hard. Then we have had a dark age. Are we in for another? I think not.
Well, that didn't age particularly well.
That last part didn't, but everything else.
I mean, what dark? We didn't go to dark age. That was a big ass war. It did end with a spectacle of science and technology bomb, right? And like after that, like Europe and the world has gotten better and better. We went to moon or something. It didn't come with a dark age, but yeah, she basically saying like, oh come on, there. Basically after this, like, is this gonna be a pivotal point where something's gonna happen? Probably not. That's what her feeling was, which is like really wrong. Imagine her, right, after all this shit happens, she's witnessing there from America. I'm guessing she's America somewhere, right? And like World War II happens, she's like, what the fuck, right? She's like, Hitler better not win, otherwise I'm fucked. Basically, she's thinking that. But yeah, by the end of it, it's like, come on, man. Like, even she didn't see that coming, like someone like him is gonna do all this shit, right? Even though he's like, she probably thought it's just gonna be some idiot who's just screaming in the book or something.
Yeah, Dorothy, that was a bold prediction.
Yeah.
One that did not come to fruition.
Yeah, you know, Dorothy hits, 99% of the time, but just that 1%.
Kind of sounds like Dorothy calls World War II. Buddy.
Well, she like no balls him into World War II.
She just fucked him up.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, that if Hitler got the copy of this book, and actually read it, that could have like made him even more angry. Not saying that would have changed anything, but yeah, like could be like, is Dorothy a Jewish person? Because imagine that, like Hitler would have been even more pissed off or some shit. I don't know. But yeah. Damn, this is insane. Like, again, like she said all that in 1939 before all this shit happened. So like, people were seeing the hate of, who was he, Chancellor at the time? Who was he? I forgot, right? So yeah, and then I guess people just didn't take him seriously, right? Like, okay, he's not going to do anything. Even though people got the intent what he wants to do, I think people is like, he's not going to do anything type of shit. But then like, holy shit. Right, well, that was Communism versus Fascism by channel Unsubscribe Clips. If you like my next one, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.